And just like that, with 2 songs featuring violin, Dave and the band pulled on the strings of the hearts of every single person in this fan base. The violin is back tonight, but we'll talk about if it'll stay around and more. The D&B post show stream starts now.
It's your boy Concert Viz 34 back at home.
What up? What up? It's your boy Concert Viz 34.
Yep, so your boy Concert Viz 34 coming to you here.
What up? What up? It's your boy Concert Viz 34. Aria. Okay, so this is Aria, and just tell us a little bit about yourself and about your love for the Dave Matthews Band.
I've been a fan of the band since April 28, 1998, and if you recognize the date, that's when Before These Crowded Streets was released.
Alpine is definitely a better venue than Summerfest, but we'll take it. I think I've been going to shows for about 20-something years.
I always tell people, like, compare DMB to now to when I first started. And I got started, in my opinion, I feel like I got started late. Like, I was at the very end of the band's prime. I feel like that 03 to 06 was like the end of the prime. 07, 08 was like, you know, we're at the very end. And then when Roy passed.
But Dave really, this is the thing. Dave has put, Rashawn has been assigned the quarterback of this team. He is the coach, the play caller. He designs the jams. Dave just shows up and plays whatever he's going to play. Jersey, what up? Shout out Atlantic City. Shout out Newark. Fort Lee, what up? Patterson, what up? Shout out New Brunswick. Hoboken, what up? Tony Soprano, how you doing, eh? Montclair, what up? Hackensack, you ought to know by now. Staten Island, what up? Garden State Parkway, what up? Morristown, what up? Shout out Scotts Plains. Princeton, what up to? What up, what up? It's your boy Conserviz 34. And any other night, I would have told you the biggest takeaway I was going to have from this set would be that the band opened for What You Are for the first time the first time since 2013, back on May 31st, 2013. I also would have had this monologue talking about some of the special shows at Holmdel as far as the opener. If we take a look at the venue history, we go back to 2022, and the band plays its first ever shotgun opener ever of all time and follows it up by a C cup before taking a timeout, mailing it in with When the World Ends. But first time shotgun ever opened a show, Holmdel, New Jersey. We move on to 2023, and we have the first time that American Baby Intro would open up a show. We go over just to pull it up here and show 76 known plays, only 2 times it's opened. Holmdel, the 18th, and then of course that Gorge Night 1 show, which like tonight had a guest violin player. All right, we're going to take it to tonight. And tonight's show, Dave has the baritone. Everyone's saying, oh, it's so right. So right. Maybe he'll repeat it again or maybe some other song, you know. And as soon as I heard some darker vibes there as the band was warming up, shout out to the Couch Tour. I was not there in person. I was listening to the Couch Tour. What You Are, I was like, oh, it's going to be What You Are. Please open more shows. David, John, Matthews, if you're looking at this show, Mr. Matthews, please open up more shows with What You Are. That was supposed to be my open for tonight. But the bigger story, the biggest story, the loudest roars from tonight come from the fact that Jason Crosby, who's collaborated with so many legendary musicians, not just with violin, but also in the keys. He pushes them keys like Pusha T. If you know, you know. Play the keyboards, play the violin. Very talented musician. And he comes on not to play keys, but to play violin on Pig. Now, the band played with the Richmond Orchestra. The band has played at the Hollywood Bowl with an orchestra. And there's been a couple guest fiddle players post Boyd. But this is the only time I could find that, you know, you have a guest fiddle player on Pig. This is the first ever Pig performance with the violin player where every note was actually fretted in tune. There was no screes, no nothing. And from the Couch Tour, it sounded beautiful. Shortly, we'll have our first guest of the night, which will be the taper, Zak S. Shout out to him for taping this show. But it's like, wow, Pig, yeah, let's hear Pig. Like we hear other songs, right? We hear other songs for violin, but this is the first time we're hearing Pig without Boyd, and it sounded beautiful. It sounded in tune. And then, of course, he stays on for Ants Marching. And then the crowd's really hyped up, and Dave tells the crowd jokingly to kind of, hey, guys, calm down. And that's the open. They're out of nowhere on a Tuesday, a violin player in the form of Jason Crosby comes in and plays violin for 2 songs. 2 songs that the violin is beloved on. Ants Marching is obviously the no-brainer of what's going to really give space for the violin to shine. And then Pig, a song where the violin is crucial, but we haven't heard anyone but Boyd. And so here's the thing with this idea of guest violin players coming on. We had a couple times in Mexico and Hollywood Bowl a couple times and the Gorge, and we've had some violin players hop in. We should celebrate these moments. We should appreciate these moments. We should savor these moments, and we should cheer and be joyful at the shows. Let's give our feedback in that way. The concern I always have whenever we have one of these moments is we get to people yet again not understanding, no matter what we think, a full-time permanent violin player is not something that this band is hyper-focused on right now. And we could try everything Just like y'all have that uncle, y'all have that aunt, you go to Thanksgiving dinner and you guys have a debate, whether it's about sports, it's about politics. You're not changing their mind. You're not changing their mind. They're in their 50s or 60s or 70s or 80s. You're not changing their mind. Live your life. Stop trying to change that aunt or uncle's mind. Enjoy when you do agree with that person, right? Or you do have a good sports moment, right? Everyone has that one uncle or that one aunt that gets on your nerves, but there's moments you have great times with them, but they grind your gears most of the time. And so you're not convincing Dave to get if he changes in his heart that he wants a violin player in this band full time, it'll happen. But it's the same thing. Some of y'all got that one friend, they trying to holler at that girl or holler at that guy, and that guy or that girl is not into them. I'm sorry. You stop simping. Take the cape off. They don't want you. Every single time a violin player comes on, there's 5 threads. Hey, I really would like a violin player to join the band. No, wow, you're so smart. What? What a great take. I never even would have thought. Yes, 99.9% of this band's fans want a violin player back. But whining about it or complaining about it on forums does absolutely nothing. It's not like Dave is looking on the message board and saying, oh, they want a violin player. I'm going to go hire someone. For whatever reason, whether it's legal matters, a settlement they had post the other fiddle player, whether it's just they don't feel motivated, they're older, they're an older band. Rich D says probably need to avoid Reddit for it's gonna be. I already posted on. I said, listen, y'all, let's enjoy this, let's appreciate this. But, bruh, they're not that into it, right? Musicians, artists are different. There are fearless football players and rappers. Like, was it Raekwon? One of the best rappers of all time, right? One of the toughest dudes. I would never want to pull up to Raekwon and try to fight him. He's afraid to fly. You can't change. He's driven from New York City area to Cali to record. Just to record. He when he's asked to come out to the West Coast to record, or to Dallas or to Houston or somewhere out Chicago, Raekwon physically drives or takes other transportation outside. He does not fly. You can't. How many times, like, you guys watch Game of Thrones, right? And the writing, it took forever. The art, it got delayed so many times, right? Some of y'all, like my wife, they're waiting for Bridgerton. Bridgerton is on their own time. Like, I may get GTA 6 before my wife gets Bridgerton's next season. Shout out to Lady Whistledown. There, with art, sometimes you cannot explain why people, yes, the most unique part of DMB is that they threw a violin player in a unique way in a band that had mainstream appeal, that was not country, that was not bluegrass only. And that's why the band is what it is today. But you can't, you're not changing Dave's mind. I'm your number one fan. You know how people say they're Dave's number one fan? Please, for me, do it for the children. That he don't care. He would have did it. And he's already done with Come Tomorrow and Walk Around the Moon. There were questions about that. And he's just like, pretty much like in those interviews during those times, he's like, I have a different direction for the band. This is the same musician. And I'm not saying this is his decision to make. I'm not as pressed for this to happen because I just understand it's not going to happen. And there's other things we can appreciate before this band stops touring. But this is the same Dave Matthews in the same band that in 2007 they were this beautiful acoustic percussive band. And the next year, Dave decided, hey, Tim, come back and turn all the way up. Turn your knob on your Strat to as far as possible up. And we're going to be a wall of sound rock band. And it still worked. I mean, some fans stopped going, just like some fans stopped, the violin, and with the Tim C. DC sound of 08 to 2010. And even through 2016, you could still argue that it was still loud. Some fans walked away. And that's their right to walk away from. If this is, hey, this sound, I don't rock with, that's fine. And the band still thrived. The band got a whole new wave of fans. Like, I've talked to so many fans over the last 4 to 5 years and even beyond that, but I've literally spent, sometimes I lose track of time and almost miss the show talking to all you guys. And I love you having conversations. There are so many fans who love the current sound of the band and love the louder rock sounding portion of a band that for many years at the top of the radio charts had no electric guitar as a touring member constantly. Tim would come, and even when Tim would come, he'd be down. So if this band could go from acoustic percussive to loud rock, if that drastic change from 2007 to 2008, and it kept growing, obviously Roy passes, and it kept growing to just louder and bah. Like, listen to Don't Drink the Water from 98 and listen to it from 2025. Right? Listen to Watchtower from Woodstock 99 and listen to like a current modern day Watchtower. It's a totally different song. All right. So just fair warning. Fair warning. Let's enjoy what we can. But whining and trying to, y'all not going to manifest no violin. I'm sorry. It don't work that way. Y'all not manifesting a full-time violin player with this band. So let's enjoy the best of what we can get here. And the Gorge will be another opportunity to have a violin player. One of the openers has a fiddle player as part of that band. And maybe we'll get another violin player. Maybe not. But that's the number one story here is the violin's back, and so is the conversations about full-time this and that. And you could talk all you want. You're talking to yourself. You're not talking to band. Yeah, thank you, Tim from Mansfield, Massachusetts. You really convinced me. I saw your comment in the 50th page of that thread, and I'm going to have a... Nah, that's not how it works. All right, so what we're going to do is bring on a guest here. And that is my favorite taper. A good friend of mine, Zak S. Let me just go ahead and get him set up. All right, and we're going to bring Zak on here. Zak, how you doing?
Hey, Marcus, how we doing tonight?
We're doing well. The talk tonight is about the violin guest spot here by Jason Crosby. Walk us through just from the end of Drunken Soldier all the way through to right before Typical Situation.
I mean, first off, like, I have very much come to enjoy these Holmdel shows. They've been getting increasingly better these past couple of years. I started going back in 22, and at this point, it's now become a pretty common add-on to my rotation, especially given the fact that in the grander scheme, it's not really that particularly hard to add on from the New York metro area. So I was very much hoping that we were going to get a show that was going to go one. It was either going to go one of two ways. Either the band was going to go and fire on all cylinders and send themselves off to be ready to enjoy Brazil next weekend, or we were going to get a 100% phoned in set where they were just going to be like, we need to go and rest up because we've got a big, nasty flight to go in. And boy, am I glad that they picked option number one, because just if we're going to focus exclusively on the Jason Crosby sit-in, I flat out did not hear that room louder than when those first beats of Ants came in. The fans went absolutely feral for it, and it was. I love Buddy in terms of all of his musicianship, but it will never feel right to me to hear the intro to Pig with the synth violin VST Ableton plugin. It just does not. It doesn't do it for me. Jason did an incredible job. He played it much more reserved and safe with his fiddle playing, not something on the realms of like something that we would see from a more bluegrass oriented fiddle player, but it was tasteful. And what was really cool was it was very clear that Dave explained to the band, and when they were rehearsing or practicing this, they made a point to give room for Jason to solo on the fiddle. There was a extended fiddle solo section in Pig for him, and they actually removed the round robin solo section in Ants and gave him 100% of the time. And I will flat out say, I was watching my meters all night on my recording deck. The loudest part of the entire night was the crowd hearing the start of Jason's solo for Ants, and it wasn't even close.
Wow, I like that idea that the band gave space to Jason. As you know, we were at that SPAC 2023 Night 2 show where Bela comes on, and for some of the songs, I would say most of the playing, there wasn't that space for him. And other times we've seen different instruments, not just fiddles or banjos. We've seen other musicians come in and we don't have that kind of awareness from the band or even just the level, the sound mix to turn them down, and they get buried. So I'm looking forward to this recording here to hear, the violin standing out and getting that shine time there. And so just walk us through, because I did talk about it to everyone here, but I did hear on the couch tour, like Dave kind of jokingly said, like, calm down. What did he exactly say there?
So at the end of Ants, when he was giving his stage bow over to Jason, where Jason was going and dapping up all the guys on stage, crowd was still loud. They were in a fever pitch, absolutely going feral over this. It was very clear that this crowd felt a connection to that sound that they haven't heard in, oh dear God, has it almost been a decade? Has it really been that long? Last Void show was 9/3/16. So yeah, we're going on almost a decade of no violin on DMB full time. And the crowd was absolutely just roaring about it. And Dave took a second and he was like, all right, now calm down. I believe I have to look back. I believe he said, like, all right, you guys had your fun. Now calm down for a second. And it was painfully clear that, like, he was poking and prodding at the crowd. And it's clear that he sees and he knows just how much the crowd loves that sound inside of DMB, because, like we said, it's the sound that gave DMB their edge in the 90s. It's something that people grew accustomed to over the past 30 plus years. And to have that glimmer of, like, to a degree, like an old sonic home, it definitely resonated a ton with the fans. And I can even remember that same kind of reaction happening when Sierra Hull's fiddle player played down in Mexico. I know the same exact thing happened at the Gorge when Bronwyn and Keith Hines played. What was that, in 24 or 23?
23.
So, yeah. So either way, it is painfully clear. Like, Dave's not dumb. He knows very much that plays into the crowd, and he knows that it's an easy, quick way to get some love from the crowd. But I feel more than happy that in addition to getting that love from the crowd, he was happy to let Jason really sink his teeth into playing because he's a fantastic multi instrumentalist. He's played with Dave a couple of times before. I think mostly with like when Dave or DMB members had guested with like Phil Lesh or with Robert Randolph's group. So like it was really nice to see him get kind of a welcome home vibe from this, especially since it's the first time he's actually played with DMB.
Yeah, no, it's definitely great to see that. Now, you were at Bethel, is that correct?
Yes, that is 100% correct, which means I've got a 100% hit rate on typical situation for this year, so I'm not complaining too much.
There you go. You're on your Tony Gwynn batting average there, batting 1,000. Now, I just the fans. We flash back to Bethel. A lot of fans at home were concerned. I shouldn't have bought this. I shouldn't have bought that. Should I have bought Merriweather, because they're probably going to do what they did at Bethel. Take us back to the feeling you had and you felt around you at Bethel and compare it to tonight. Even take out the violin, just in general tonight. What changed in the environment, or what did the band do to tonight that maybe it was still growing or wasn't there in Bethel?
Sure. I mean, so the problem is that you've got a couple of different confounding factors that kind of make them hard to compare. Mostly because you've got to look at Bethel in the overall circumstances of where the band was at that point. Particularly, they are all just coming off of 2 quick festival appearances, which it's very clear and very obvious that this band, it has a festival mode. Dave certainly has a festival mode. So he was doing that, kind of doing their own thing. They still had to get the rust off for a little bit, but also the Bethel gig in general felt a lot more like a warm-up show, particularly for things like Boston Calling, and ultimately like Syracuse as well kind of felt like more of an extension of, okay, we're still trying to get our groove back. What are we kind of doing here? I know I will say certainly that I was a bit of an alarmist. Bethel was by no means bad, but I also recognize that I am spoiled in the sense that I can remember summer tour openers where we were seeing bust out after bust out, liberation after liberation, crazy stuff going through. But you got to recognize that that wasn't really the case as to what we were looking for. In a way, Bethel kind of, while it was technically the summer opener where the first note of the show was 45 degrees, thank you, Bethel, New York, for giving that on Memorial Day weekend. But also, you have to recognize that the band was in a different mode there. Now, I will say particularly, I think so far we saw a really big turning point when we got to Blossom and Merriweather, 2 incredible set lists that definitely outclass a fair amount of what we saw in Bethel and what we saw at Syracuse. So I definitely came in today with much higher expectations, and I can firmly say they were met. I think especially for a midweek show in a relatively smaller market, even though ultimately like the show was definitely sold out. There was a great amount of people there in the crowd on the lawn. It was not a sparse showing. I think that Dave not only delivered, but the band as a whole over-delivered for this crowd and really made them feel welcome, made them feel happy going and trekking back to their cars tonight to get back onto the Garden State Parkway.
Yeah, and that context is great. That, like you said, this band nowadays needs a couple of shows as like a preseason to gear up to get into full swing. And what we've seen, like I know last week I even said everyone was worried about how they were going to play this before Brazil. We can now say that they have played this by far beyond our expectations of just understanding there's no 2-night stands before Brazil. There's a hodgepodge of shows of 1-night stands, and they're kind of moving off. They're almost going in a circle here. So it's great to see this. Any other notable things? I know we had the What You Are opener. We have like you said, another typical. We get a Drunken Soldier first Away from the World song, and then we have encore, which has yet again peace on earth?
I will say, the second I saw the Blackberry get brought out, I was I was trying to figure out, because like ultimately that means one of two things. I was like, okay, he could do So Right Again, which it's not unheard of. We've seen summer tours where like there are songs that become opener staples. I point you to any part of the 2010s when it was basically a question as to whether or not Seek Up or One Sweet World was going to open a show. But to be pleased, to be surprised by what you are opening for the second time ever, with us now getting back to, it was 5/11 20, sorry, 5/31 2013. So we're talking about like over 12 years since the last time it opened.
Yeah.
It's very clear that I don't, I couldn't speculate to the reasoning. I put that to the crystal ball of one David Matthews, but it's very clear, especially for the last couple of years, Dave has been given particular love to the set lists over here in Holmdel. I mean, I will flat out say 2022, 2023 were awesome. And then last year we got that long extended sit-in with Robert Randolph with songs like Hello Again, which were absolutely incredible. And even tonight, like getting an absolutely banger opener. And the last third of that show, in addition to to Jason Crosby's sit-in, was top notch. I mean, if I have to give one tiny gripe, like if I have to nitpick on it, uh, you bring the violin player out and you throw Billy's as the closer instead of just lumping it in with his sit-in.
Yeah.
I feel like that was a bag that was summarily fumbled quite hard. But on the other end of it, it seems like he's been enjoying playing Billy's a lot more. And I have to listen back because I frankly don't know, because a lot of shows kind of mesh together with me. He started to actively say during Billy's, where he would usually go check him out, Boyd, he's been actively saying, check him out, buddy.
Yes.
And he said it again tonight. And I was like, okay, have we really started to enter an era where this is now the norm with what we're doing at Billy's? I don't hate that. I get it. But like, do you now no longer view Billy's as a violin song? And if not, that's a completely different discussion. And I don't necessarily know if I'm on the same page with that. Well, overall, great show. I would definitely say, for anyone that's ever contemplated whether or not to add this show, I know that it can be a little dicey depending upon the time of the year, purely because it usually shows up as like an add-on to right before or right after Saratoga, and it's usually coupled with Jones Beach. I would say, is this a venue to probably travel out to? It's up to you. I think it's a really cool looking venue. I like the history of it. I like the fact that everyone calls it the spaceship, because you can see when you look on top of it, it looks like a spaceship on the map view. It's a gorgeous older venue. And then especially if you wanted to just kind of do this as a New York City vacation, why not? It's not that far from the city. It's a better part of an hour away if you time it right.
Yeah, and there was a fan who spotted Dave in New York on, I believe it was Sunday, and so maybe that New York City, being in this area gives Dave a feeling like he's like MSG, even though he's over here in Holmdel. And Fish announces their mothership shows, and DMB says, well, we're playing at a mothership, and we're going to bring a UFO out of this world performance here with a special guest on Pagan Ants. Hey, thank you for coming on, Zach. And thank you for what you do as far as taping and preserving these shows for us. We will give you time. We will not ask anything about this tape for at least the next week and a half, 2 weeks, even though I'm sure you'll be working hard. We will not ask anything. If you're at home, I hope you're picking up on this. We will not ask about this tape for the next 2 weeks. If it shows up between then and now, we'll listen to it and appreciate it, but we will not beg and ask and plead for it. We will let you do what you do best.
Thank you, Marcus. I appreciate it. Always a pleasure talking with you, brother. We'll catch up soon.
All right. Take care. Bye.
Take care. Bye.
All right, so that was Zach, and great perspective there as far as, uh, like I said, what everyone is going to be talking about, which is the pig and ants marching. And we got confirmation from Zach that there was space. And again, I don't know if you guys have seen some of the guests. I've been very blessed to catch Bela at SPAC. I've been able to catch some other acts, Mark Whitfield and some other people in recent years. And of course, since I started, I've seen other, Warren and everything. But one of it's hard to do because, you have someone who's coming in, they're bringing in their own equipment. It's being yet another track that has to be blended in with everything else. It's hard, but it's frustrating as a fan sometimes when you see this guest on stage like Bela and Don't Drink the Water at SPAC in 2023, and he's buried by the rest of the band. You have a nice, delicate banjo sound, and you can't hear it. And so I really respect what this crew does for D&B because you have so many just different audio tracks for everything from the snare and the bass drum of Carter to Tim to Rashawn and Jeff. And sometimes the mics don't work for Jeff and Rashawn. It's just that's how technology is. They're playing their hearts out, and sometimes the mics come off, and they're such professionals when there are challenges and issues. It's hard to balance everything. But when it's done right, when you have everything where you can hear that guest and the band slides down a little bit and they're elevated and then they build around it, that awareness and that everything coming together with practice, of course, trial and error over the tour. It's the moments that make you add that extra show every year. And so this tour so far has shown us, hey, we needed a week. We had these festivals. We were in festival mode. Let us just give us some time to get out of it. And we going full speed in. And so from Blossom to Merriweather to Holmdel, you have in the name of Blossom, Merriweather, and Holmdel, amen, right? They done crossed up these stages, broke some ankles, and brought joy to people's hearts. Let's try to get Mike on. Let me see. Oh, yeah, I have him all set up. I have to get him. He's muted right now. But we're going to get Michael on. And he came in, a Jersey native who went down to Holmdel. And I know I was talking to him because I was just hoping he was able to make this work, and everything was able to come through. It's crazy how life, you're busy. There's different things. You're pulled different ways. And sometimes you can't make the shows, but he was able to get out. Yeah, just give me 1 second. I'm going to get everything set up for Mike. And then we will have him ready to go on here. So, and shout out to everyone. There's a lot of new people that are checking into this post-show stream, and I'm glad to have you. And I know I've been answering some questions. And listen, I learned from you guys as well. The most important thing with these post-show streams, if you see something at a show, say something in the comments. If I got something off, you think something, let me know, because I've learned a lot just from listening to you guys. All right. So let's go ahead. Just got to unmute him. All right. We're going to bring on Mike. Mike, how you doing?
Marcus, what's up? Can you hear me, man?
Yes.
Awesome, dude.
So we talked about the fiddle with Zach. We talked about just some other elements, but just give us, what's your biggest takeaway or biggest kind of thing from this show that stands out?
The place thanks again for having me on, as always, Marcus, and it's awesome. The place is it's ridiculous, the sound. It's almost like he was like, all right, let's go ahead and like give these big sounding songs, put them in its amphitheater. That's what it's designed for. It's really, it always sounds great. The audience always sounds awesome. And that's kind of what it seemed like. He like drove it like that, and he had fun. He had a lot of fun.
Now, with this venue, there have been people that are in traffic. They missed that opening song numerous years, including that 2022 year. People are kicking themselves with Shotgun. What is the traffic like? What are the challenges of getting into this venue during rush hour in June or July, whenever they come by?
All right. So what it normally is everybody's here and set up, and they just don't come in. The parkway's right here. The parking's set up. Like, they do a fantastic job. They just redid the whole parking lot with extra handicapped on one side, and now the whole one side of the parkway is all Premier, and then the free parking's on the other side and everything. But people get in and they just have a tendency to just not go in. They're hanging out, they're meeting their friends. It just, the tailgate scene, I mean, other than like it being an awful place to see the show and you don't ever want to go there, the tailgate scene's really cool, man, and people hang out and it's really a great time. So it seems like people don't want to go in. And what I noticed tonight was, like, we're getting older in general as a fan base. Like, people were in their seats. The lawn had their chairs set up at 7:35, 7:40. People were like in their chairs. It didn't feel like Dave needed to come out and drop Shotgun to make people run in from the parking lot. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
He's still like, it was a great opener, but that's what I always felt like he was doing at Holmdel. It was like, come on, like, I'm gonna make you get in here for it. But it's right off the parkway, man. It's like, it's a breeze, dude. In and out, good to go.
Gotcha. So it's just historically the tailgate. A lot of times when it is in June and July, it's kind of for New Englanders and Mid-Atlantic fans traveling, south, or traveling, from the south up north. This time of year, we love to cherish our outdoor time, and so I guess that makes sense why maybe people don't come in right away. You lose track of time. Time goes fast in the summer when it's warmer, and it seems to go slower in the winter. So what are some other moments that stood out to you? We have What You Are here. We have a rare dive in, the first at this venue. We have a Billy's closer.
The one thing I took away from it, because I was thinking about it, was like, he got done with, they came out with the fiddle, they played that, they played Ants. It was insane. The place, like, it was ready to lift off. Absolutely insane. Dave's like, all right, just like, literally, he's like, you need to calm down. And we're just cheering louder. And then he came out with Typical Situation in that spot. It was like such a slow song, but it was still such a power song. It was like that spot. I don't know if it was like deliberate on his part, but like the spot that song right there to be able to calm the audience down, but still hold that energy of the room, was just something that wasn't lost on me. Like, I was like, what are you going to do with Ants? Because you're going to crash the room. You know what I mean? And that's always like a moment that big in the show, in the middle of the show, you worry about the bottom falling out. And it just kept everybody together. Everybody was singing, hanging out, and it just never fell out. Like, everybody was just really into it all night, it seemed like.
That's awesome. And we're looking at a time, we talk about the violin not being there. We talk about like the prices, Ticketmaster going up. I know for me personally, I'm trying to get a house. I'm trying a bigger house, right? And I'm trying to, my son's got to go to daycare, and I'm like, do I want to waste more money on tickets? Not even DMB. Like, do I want to see Blink-182 this year? I've seen them a bunch of times. Do I really need to spend that money? I really find it impressive that DMB is able to fill up a Tuesday show, whether it's Holmdel, whether it's Syracuse, you even said people got in early. It's amazing that this band can still fill up these amphitheaters with the price hikes, and just with the fact that, listen, they don't have some things that in their peak they had, and they have different things, and they've changed things around. and people are still showing up. So as much as you could say, hey, I the band should have a violin, or else what? These tickets you can't find. There's a couple deals here and there, but a lot of these shows are near sold out, or they're filling up.
I ran with your advice this year, Marcus. I kind of just held back, and I didn't get anything through the warehouse. I didn't even request any. I was like, I'll just see how it plays out, and it worked out well for me. I was able to pick up something on the secondary market, trade out a poster, and you do your magic because, like you said, I got daycare, I got summer camp I've been paying. This stuff adds up, and I didn't, doing it the end like that is all right, but people just are out supporting the band. Generations of people, Marcus. It's insane. Three generations. The more, like, I was joking, like, there's more kids here than there are parents. And they're like, oh, no, it's not. I'm like, but from where we were to, like, the fact that you're seeing children on the regular basis is like, you don't know, there's more kids here that, you know what I mean? It's just that sort of, and it's like embraced. Everybody's all about it, just having a great time. All the kids are, they're in appropriate ear protection, which we love to see.
Yeah, that's great.
But just like a really family vibe was like, I think that's why they're continuing to sell out. It's just they're like, hey, I want to share this with everybody I can, and they're growing up with it.
And that's great to see because, as we know, Gen Z is a lot of stuff that even the 2000s that you would think they would know about or be passed on. They don't care as much. But like you said, I mean, this last summer, I just saw all sorts of kids, these next generation. We have, as we know, we both know Connor, his dad hit 100 shows this weekend, and Connor's in his early 20s. Going to shows as a second generation D&B fan, and even just the fans that joined even from Walk Around the Moon and Come Tomorrow. Like I'm shocked at how many fans joined at that time where you don't even have that violin to make it unique. And some of these fans that from 2018 to now, they're hyper focused. They're going to Mexico. I can't imagine, obviously they're adults. You have older adults that have money. The kids come with their parents. Yeah. But it's impressive to see a fan that joins this fan base in 2018, and in 2023, 2024, they're going to Mexico. Or they're going or people, they join in 2018, they live on the East Coast, and then by 2019 or 2021, they're at the Gorge within 2 tour seasons, pandemic aside, they're at the Gorge. Like it didn't always happen like that. It took time, for fans. It took a little bit of growth before you would make that trek out to the Gorge. But now we're seeing a whole new wave of fans, old and young. There's fans that are 40, 50 years old that just started listening to this band last year, just started going on tour 2 or 3 tours ago. And it's beautiful to see that there. I want to take this poster out here and let me know what you think. I
didn't get the poster. Like I said, I got all those guys behind me. So I'm a little poster shy. I liked it. I'll probably pick one up on the secondary just because they were still there when I was walking out. There were foils there at 7:00 when I went in. It seems like Holmdel's always that way. They just don't, like, while it sells out, while the fan base is strong there, the poster game is just that. It seems like the audience could care less whether or not they had the poster. It's more important that we're at the show than whether you had the poster, at least in Holmdel. I know that's not true anywhere else, but like walking out, there were stacks, I don't know about stacks, but they were there,
Yeah, and Mazza has a unique style that when you go to a weekend Gorge show, when you go to an Alpine, there's gonna be people that buy it. Like they're just, people are there and people buy it just to buy it and trade. And I think, like you said, for a midweek show at Holmdel and even Jones Beach, a midweek show in Jones Beach, you may not get the demand unless now sometimes there is an artist that has more of a universally accepted or they're, they may push the meter. But for something like this, I think Mazza has a great fan base, a loyal fan base. But when you have a midweek show like this, you're not going to have that enough people that like this style of art. Whereas a weekend, again, these weekend shows, people literally buy a lawn ticket just to get their poster, and then they come back and they go back in with their seat.
No, absolutely. It's just they never seem to move here. It's crazy. I mean, last year's was really sweet. The year before was kind of whatever, but they just don't. I mean, I don't know, but I think it's a nice poster. I just didn't like when I saw it there. I just didn't pick it up. When it was like the foils were still there, so I know I'd grab it. But I think it was a nice design. I like to see it when they bring something, the jersey and stuff like that and everything else. It was cool. I like it.
Well, hey, Mike, thanks for coming on. I'm glad you were
Hey,
able to get
Marcus.
out to this show, get a last minute purchase there, and wait it out.
Absolutely. Thank you so much.
We hope to see you soon. At
Absolutely.
a
All
show
the best
here or
to you,
there.
man.
Yep. All right. Take care. Bye.
Have a great night, buddy.
Yep,
Talk to you
too.
later.
All right. So we want to thank Mike for joining here, and appreciate him. I think the band, I'll get the information from Zach, but I think the band was on a little longer tonight than usual. Like they pushed it to maybe 10:30ish or maybe a little after that. I'm thinking. So we'll see. And it'll be interesting to see how the message boards and threads are. I'm looking here to see some reaction. But the other thing is we just celebrated a birthday for Big Whiskey. And one thing that is even going along with this idea again of just looking at the changes of this band's sound and the people that are attracted to the various stages of this band's changes. I don't like to call it evolving. I think it's just direction changes and adapting, because I don't think you evolve from Leroy Moore. You can change things, but I don't think you evolve from Leroy. Like, you don't evolve from the sound of this band in 04. I still think this band can sound really great and it can be a wonderful time. That's why I keep coming back. But you don't evolve. Like people, oh, look at the evolution. How do you evolve from the epic wailing Seek Up? Right? How do you speed up Don't Drink the Water and make it more rock based and it's better than the versions that were more slower and acoustic? I don't see that. And Zach just gave me 7:47 p.m. the band got on, and then 10:28 p.m. off. So that will push us to the latest time that the band was on stage. But when I talk about Big Whiskey, this is my wheelhouse because I am 34 years old. I was a freshman in college when this came out. And so June 2nd, I had just finished my freshman year, a couple weeks before that. And so Big Whiskey was an album that got a lot of people my age in. And it got a lot of people my age to then decide to go to a tailgate or go to shows in their high school or college years. Because we were too young for the early 90s, the mid 90s. Maybe some of y'all went with your parents, right? But very few in the early to mid 90s. Very few of you guys went with your parents. And so this album, I personally get frustrated because the songs were played to death. The songs were overplayed. Now, not Dive In Like Tonight. That's one of the rare ones. But they were overplayed even through until about 2023, 2024. The last 2 tours, we saw a reduction sharply. Even the DMB Caravan in 2011 had so many Big Whiskey songs, even in that short tour. And so for me, it was a negative for so long. Over time, I've gained appreciation in the live stage setting for some of these songs. Like Funny the Way It Is, how I think of it now versus how I thought of it when I first started going to shows in 2012 and 13. I could not stand it. But I actually do have an appreciation because it's been played so much less. And I always will say this, the studio album itself is phenomenal. I think some of the songs live, I prefer to hear more of the band's classic sound with the older catalog. Like tonight we got Raven, and we got the first, I think this is the first Buddy Strong era Raven with the full band that did not have the funky intro. Buddy began doing funky intros when, 2018, 2019, I think around that time, where he would kind of get on and play before the band and lead the band into the first, part of it. But I'll take Raven anyway. It's not even a complaint. It's just an observation. I like the way Buddy does it. I like the way they did it tonight, the Buddy intro, and I like the regular intro. Like, I'd rather have a song like Raven recently, Best of What's Around, because they have that, you can hear Dave's guitar. What I don't like about live Big Whiskey is it's so rock based. And listen, I have a Rush shirt on. I love loud rock. I just don't go to D&B for that. I'm like, hey, I want you guys to play all this loud stuff over Dave's guitar. No, it's like, imagine if Jack Johnson just had toured with Slash, right? Or toured with Jack White. Imagine Jack White, imagine Jack and Jack, right? And you have Banana Pancakes and Jack Johnson's trying to play it. And then you have Jack White just shredding over it or playing some blues stuff over it. That's kind of what some of the stuff I feel like in Big Whiskey can sound like live when it was overplayed. But regardless of what I think, this album brought in a whole new subset of fans, mostly born between 1990 and 1997, 98. Because if you were born between those years when Big Whiskey came out, you were in late middle school, high school, or college. Mostly in high school. And so now there's a whole second generation of D&B fans in this 2009-ish era. You also had a lot of people use You and Me in their wedding. So you have this song that's tied to people's big day where they get married. Now, not me, it was banned at my wedding, but it was. We had Here On Out, and we had, I think, I'll Back You Up, a couple other songs in our playlist throughout the evening of celebration. But you guys know I don't like You and Me, but a lot of people, it was their wedding song. To this day, this year I heard it, last year I heard it. This album's 16 years old. People are still chasing this song because they may only go to one show every couple of years and they have not heard You and Me before. So you cannot, that song was huge. This was the last commercially successful album by Dave Matthews as far as having impact past its fan base. Walk Around the Moon and Come Tomorrow. The reason those albums did as good as they did is because of the fan base. It wasn't because people outside of the fan base got it. And Come Tomorrow, they literally were giving away albums with the ticket. If you bought a ticket to that tour in 2018, you could redeem a copy, a download or physical copy of Come Tomorrow. So this was a very pivotal, and it brought a new wind. I truly believe if Big Whiskey is not released, despite my feelings about some of the elements of it, if it was not released, this band does not still have all the pavilion shows it has. It does not have some of the 2-night stands it has. Because after the passing of Leroy Moore, after the end of in 26, now there was a concert for Charlottesville, I believe that was in 2017, a one-off with Boyd, but 2016 was the last like tour with Boyd. With the loss of the violin as a permanent fixture of this band, fans started to slide out fully or partially because they were like, listen, things have changed. Prices have gone up. You know, my priorities, I'm married now. I have children, or some people, my kids are going to college. They're not going to as many shows, or they're not going at all. So there had to be other fans to come in. And a lot of those Big Whiskey era, and especially that was a turning point, that Big Whiskey era fan base has filled in, including myself, including Zach, right? Zach and I both joined post Roy as far as our live shows. And Zach now tapes. He's one of the pivotal tapers as far as even organizing for other tapers to cover shows he can't make. He sent a whole taping rig down to Mexico with the fan, and that fan taped last year's Mexico shows. Joined during Big Whiskey era. So it's a pivotal album just because of that. That was the music that was being played as we were going to ending high school or in, for me, a freshman in college. And our peers, my peers, ended up becoming fans that replaced other fans who gracefully bowed out and said, I love this band, but the prices are going up. The sound has changed. It's hard to adapt. Now, many fans did adapt, but some couldn't. And so now you have to replace those fans with other fans. And that's what D&B has done so well. No matter what I think about something, no matter what my opinions are, this band is in phenomenal shape as far as what they're able to fill out for shows. In an era where you're seeing all sorts of price cuts, you're seeing empty seats, you're seeing bands canceling portions of tours due to unforeseen circumstances, meaning they not selling tickets. D&B is selling tickets. They continue to even impress me, and I feel like I have a good grasp on all this, as far as demand, all that. But they're just selling. They add parking fees to Deer Creek. They add lawn chair fees, and people are still showing up. Which is, again, going back to that idea of, they need to have a violin or else what? You're still showing up. A lot of people complaining about no violin are still showing up to shows. I was on the rail in Hartford in 2022. And the dude next to me is yelling about no violin. I'm like, dude, we're at the rail. We're not far off from center of where Dave is. And you're complaining about a violin. Like, no, I'm going to enjoy this. They played songs I didn't like come on. I enjoyed it because I was on the rail. So that's the thing, is a lot of people who hate on this band and say, I don't like this or I don't like that about Dave, they still show up and they still are mad and angry about something. And they still show up. And it's not just, I don't like these, like not even like set list, but it's just other personal things. He's got to do this. He's got to bring a violin. I want a new album. He got to play this song. You're still showing up. Dave knows he's got us. He knows it. He's like, gotcha. It would be a whole nother story if the band's like attendance started dropping significantly. Then they would probably be like, all right, we gotta bring in somebody. But claiming, I'm manifesting a violin replacement for Boyd, and then showing up to 5 or 6 different shows in the summer, and then going to Mexico, you're part of the problem, right? If y'all want to see this thing change, stop showing. No, let me stop that. Shout out to the band and shout out to the fans. Very passionate fan base, and it is what it is. All right, so we end this part of the tour. They're gonna go ahead this weekend, and the band will play some shows here in Brazil. So we got Saturday the 7th. Sunday the 8th. And so I will be covering those shows. I'm going to reach out to Aria, see if she has the capacity to even just send something. Give me some notes or anything. If you are if you're going to Brazil and you want to be on the post-show stream, let me know. If you want to send a video, if you want to send me a written review, if you don't want to be on live, I do want to get a grasp of how people feel at these shows for this awesome festival, Best of Blues Festival. And it's pretty cool. They're playing 2 nights at the festival. A lot of times they'll just do a weekend where they play 2 different festivals. It's the same place, same festival. And so pretty cool for them to headline 2 nights. In South America, everything I've seen from various individual shows and festivals, they have some phenomenal fans. They have some larger than life festival size. I'm talking 100,000 plus fans all lined up for like a quarter mile from the stage. Like, it's just some of the visuals I've seen from some of the festivals in South America are just phenomenal. So I know the crowd is going to be supportive, even if some people don't know DMB's music. But I think we can walk away from this as the band goes ahead and goes into customs and heads over to Brazil with their passports. I think this first leg of the tour in the States was a great start. It was a phenomenal start for this band to get their bearings, some festivals before the official summer tour, but then also, build their way up. If we go back, we start off at Bethel, very cold. It's been cold. It's been rainier and cold than average. Some parts of upstate New York have had rain every weekend since November, like some sort of rainfall, even if it's just for like 30 minutes. There's been some sort of rainfall every weekend since November. And even here in Connecticut, we pretty much every weekend in the last 4 to 5, or actually 2 to 3 months, we've had rain. And then we had rain, a lot of different things, precipitation of various kinds throughout the fall and winter. So colder than normal, but the band gets ready here. Also, by the way, just quick side note, I know most of you guys know this. This sound check, by the way, was held on 5/23/25. There were some fans, I think it was on the Couch Tour, who were like, oh no, I definitely heard the band sound check. They don't sound check on stage outside of some unique circumstances. Dave and Tim sometimes have sound checked at CMAC and other venues. And then in Mexico, they sound checked the day before the shows. Because this was the tour opener, they sound checked the day before. And they kind of got things right. And then they played this. But when you go to a show and you hear music, if you're at the gate, a lot of times that's music, that's recordings of music being played through the PA to kind of get some, for the sound engineers and the crew to kind of get everything squared away and calibrate it to the venue based on that day. Because sound, it could be a hot day, a cool day, an average day. Could be Father's Day, Could be Day of the Dead, right? Right? And so they try to calibrate it. If you hear music 99.9% of the time, it's actually just it's music recordings, previous recordings played through the PA system. And so I saw people on the Couch Tour and some other groups like, yeah, no, look, I have video and here's the band playing. No, you're recording from behind a wall or you're recording from the gates. You don't see any band members on stage. That's just how they are now. They pretty much just practice backstage and then they go on. And now, yes, the crew will test certain elements of the band's equipment. They may even actually, without a doubt, will hit that snare. They'll hit the acoustic guitar for Dave, but the band itself does not do that. Anyway, Bethel starts out and we get not a bad set, but there just seems there's no liberation, just like Tampa last year. and fans were kind of wondering. We go to 525 and we get a festival set. But again, I will still say this festival set is better than most festivals. To have a Billy's opener, to have Watchtower not close the show, and to have You Never Know. Those are three things you can take away that they were giving some extra things over. Two fans who braved the cold weekend. Again, another cold show, rainy and cold. Then we go to Syracuse, and this is a week ago. And again, not a bad show, just people were expecting some other things to pick up, maybe some momentum to be carried here. And again, this is Syracuse. Again, some of these midweek shows, there's a lot of casual fans. There's fans who haven't seen the band in a while, and so they're not going to necessarily take as many chances. And they're also building up. They're building their calluses and getting stronger here. Then we go over to Friday's show, and we just get these, just boom. Jane comes out. Now, it was found that Dave's sister was there. They just lost their mom earlier this year, and I'm sure even they've always been close, but this is even something where I'm sure they're even just holding on to support each other as much as possible. They do Jane to fish tender, and boom, Satellite take a bathroom break. Busted Stuff comes in, and you get Say Goodbye, you get Dive In, you get mid-set Watchtower again, not closing out shows with it. And you get another Billy's set closer, which again is a song that hasn't been played as much in the last 5 years or so. And so to get 5 plays in this first round of shows is phenomenal. So this show on Friday really set the pace. Some people made last minute plans, like my friend Greg, who they decided just to go to, hey, we like what we're seeing. We're going to go down to Merriweather. And so Merriweather is a show on the 31st here the next day. You get a So Right Boa, Funny the Way It Is in the Stone, and then you get PNP and the Pig. That's a heck of a run. Maybe Funny the Way It Is kind of the bottom of that ranking, but just to have all those songs so closely knit together that are powerful deep cuts. And Boa is a deep cut in the sense, you don't get it as often in this current era here compared to when the band only had limited songs. So great stuff there. The Granny Encore. The E1, he's just playing Peace on Earth in the last couple of shows. It is what it is, right? But he's doing some cool things like closing out with Granny is a great move versus just doing Gray Street or Ants or something that you usually do. And so then we go to today. And today's show, you get What You Are, which is phenomenal. Like, that is one of my favorite songs. And please, Dave, open more shows with What You Are. It's a dark, heavy song, and I love that they did that. What do the kids say? I love that for you, even though that's like in jest. That's like a sarcastic thing. Like, oh, I love that. But Dave, I love that for you, for real. Ain't no shade, man. No cap either, right? What You Are opening up. Now, Cornbread is not my favorite, but there's a demographic. I think what this does is there's certain fans who may not know What You Are, but they know Cornbread. So the diehards get What You Are like me. They're happy. And really, when you get a What You Are, you can kind of chill for a couple of songs and know that you got What You Are to start. And even if they play some meh songs or kind of common, more like mainstream fan songs, you're fine with that What You Are. So they get Cornbread, which gets people going. People love to dance to that and get hype. And maybe those fans don't like What You Are, but they like Cornbread. Then you get Grace Is Gone, which people sing out, right? At that one more drink part at the end. Then you play Too Much without, it's the tour debut. So Much Say Anyone Seen the Bridge has been going through with Word Up. But you do Too Much, and then you do Word Up without the So Much the Bridge. And you get Walk Around the Moon, but then you get a Raven. So they're giving everyone a little bit to take home. And of course, you go through and you can skip right down, Dive In, Special, Drunken Soldier Pig. Pig has the violin guest, Ant's violin guest there, Jason Crosby. Then you go right to typical Warehouse Billy's. Great way to close the set. And then the encore is an encore. It's an okay encore. I love Gray Street, but Peace on Earth has been played a lot. But nevertheless, I think this band, the theme I have for the last almost week is they're coming out the gates hot, and at some point towards the end of the set, they kind of pop out again. They pop out and show hitters, and that's what they're doing. You know, you have a towards the end of this. After the mumble jumble of Don't Drink and Let's Dance and Crush, which are either covers or songs that are very popular in the mainstream, which to me, I'm like, oh, do I need a 45-minute Crush? I don't. But hey, after that, they dive in and Drunken Soda the Pig Ants. Typical Warehouse Billies. The end of this set is strong. The beginning of this set is strong. And the encore is what it is. In the middle of the show is what it is. I'll say this, Let's Dance, hearing it tonight on the couch tour, Word Up is quicker to me. Mentally, I don't know the timings, I have to check, but Word Up just seems like it gets in and it gets out. It's not as strenuous as some of these covers, I'm sorry, like they're too long. Just go and cover a Dave song. But I'll say this, Word Up goes quick, but Let's Dance, I think tonight listening to it, I'm like, yeah, this is better than, the other covers that they've kind of been throwing in there. So I don't want Let's Dance. I don't need to hear it from DMB. Like, that was cool last year. I love the song. Like, shout out to Bowie. It's a great song, but it was last year. People were getting sick of it, including myself. Like, it got old pretty quick, but it's still better. It's still busting more than Word Up, in my opinion, and some of the other covers that we've heard. Like, It's Your Thing. I don't at a DMB show, I don't need, but again, Buddy does a great job, but at a DMB show, I want some DMB type beats, you know what I'm saying? Like, or just DMB type songs. Like, another interesting thing, So Damn Lucky, Stay or Leave, these Some Devil songs have not really been present. But I actually like that. Listen, So Damn Lucky was played so dang much last year. Like, too much. Too much. And I don't think we got it. Let me just look at that. Stay or Leave. Yeah. There's no So Damn Lucky and there's no Stay or Leave. Great. Phenomenal, David. Good job, David. I think that's great. And maybe, hey, bring out something like Dodo, Trouble, hey, DMV, full BNB, full band DMB, let's go. But I think that's great because some of those songs were, they hit last year at the beginning, but once you got towards the end of last year, you're like, do I need another one of these? I'm so glad Thank You has not, like, I was worried with the festivals, the non-summer tour festivals there in New Orleans Jazz Fest and Loving Life Music Festivals aren't being counted as part of the summer technically, right? They're even the social media hyped up after those, not during. So I like where this band is at. I like what some of the stuff that's gone away. We have not gotten some other songs I will not name because if I name them, they're going to play them. And so we're getting some fresher looks and some different passes at how they make a set list. And already we close out this with the guest fiddle player in Jersey on a Tuesday. I think that's what the big thing is with this. It's Jersey on a Tuesday. Great fans out here that love DMB. The band has been playing this pretty much in every decade of their existence, the 90s, 2000s, 2010s, 2020s. They look at playing Holmdel and all of these eras, and they really had a great show. That is all I have. That is all I have here. But I will see you guys this weekend. And again, if you're going to Brazil, let me know. Instagram, X, Facebook. I have a Blue Sky account. I do check it every now and then. Not as frequently on there. And so just hit me up and we'll get in. Oh, shout out. There was somebody that had said that this was the first show since the passing of their father. And I think that, in these tragedies and the first DMB show he'd been to, his father didn't go to the shows, but, it's just, that's a huge life event. But someone went today as their first show since their father had passed, and they're happy to see this band and hoping to, just enjoy the time that they have after such a tragic loss. So let me see if I can find the name of the person. I have so many. Oh, JP McCarthy. So this will be my 4th DMB shows and my first since my dad died. My dad sadly was never able to see Dave Matthews, but I'm hoping tonight the band will. And great for you, JP. And I know beyond the music, it's a hard thing for any sort of loss. And so I pray for you and your family. Because it's a never ending thing when you lose a loved one, especially a parent. It's just tough. It's tough. And so we're glad you were able to get the show. I'm sure you were happy there leaving the show with what you got there. And even regardless of the set, it's a thing to celebrate and a thing to just kind of really heal. Music heals. So shout out to that. And that's it. Yeah. It's your boy Conserviz 34. Thank you guys for the support. Thank you. This is like an Irish goodbye. I can't stop. But thank you guys, man. It's just been so great to see whether it's the concert videos, whether it's these post-show streams that people are learning and people are teaching me. Like, you guys are giving me great perspective, and I'm trying to share what I know. And that's what it's all about. This is what this fan base and this passion for music is all about. Sharing, learning from each other, and teaching each other here. So I will see you guys this weekend. Let me finally close out this dang show. This is turning into a Jimmy thing. It's a long Jimmy thing. That's all this show is. It's one long Jimmy. All right, peace.
I found a stranger walking in the woods. She was not quite like anyone I knew. Red dress, polka dots, shadows in her hair. She said, "You take me, and I take you there." Now she's going round and round inside of my head. I think I'm just a little too close to the edge. You took everything from me, and now I'm falling into this never-ending sea. I know you got your best to give to me. You know you hold me up. I know it seems that I have crossed into a dream since I've been flying, so fly. Big stack, jump back, crumble into here, boy. Good boy, won't stay as high as your eyes. It's twisted, my love to fly, but I wanted for you to give a little bit of everything. I know you got your best to give to me. You know you hold me up. I know it seems that I have crossed into a dream since I've been flying, so fly. It's blue and it's red. Found a new door to open my head.